Howdy, and welcome to the channel. And in today's video, we're going to be putting these relatively inexpensive drills head to head so you know which one you should be spending your hard-earned money on. For our first drill in the lineup, we have Warrior model number 57366. It comes in at $19.99 for the full kit, and it includes a 1.3 amp hour 12 volt battery and charging cable. It comes with a single speed transmission with 12 clutch settings and a 3/8 inch plastic chuck. It weighs 1 pound, 11.8 ounces, or 789 grams. For the second drill, we have the brushless Hyper Tough model 98807. It costs $32.88 for the kit, which includes a 1.5 amp hour battery and charging cable. It has a 2-speed transmission, 21 clutch settings, and a 3/8 inch metal chuck. It weighs 1 pound, 11.2 ounces, or 770 grams. For the third drill, we have the Hercules model HD91B. It costs $32.99 for the tool only, and we will be using their 2 amp hour battery, which costs an additional $24.99. The Hercules has a 2-speed gearbox, 19 clutch settings, and a 3/8 inch plastic chuck. It comes in at 2 pounds, 1 ounce, or 936 grams. For the fourth drill in the lineup, we have the brushless Skil model DL629A-00. It'll run you $69.99 for the kit, which includes a 2 amp hour battery and a USB-C charging cable. It has a 2-speed transmission with 17 clutch settings and a 1/2 inch plastic chuck. It weighs 1 pound, 14.3 ounces, or 858 grams. For the fifth drill, we have the brushless Milwaukee M12 Fuel model 3404-20. For the tool only, it costs $149. We'll be using their 2 amp hour battery for testing, and that will cost you an additional $64.97. The M12 has a 2-speed gearbox, 12 clutch settings, and a 1/2 inch metal chuck. It comes in at 2 pounds, 2.5 ounces, or 979 grams. Thanks to its as cheap as can be build materials, the Warrior comes in as the second lightest drill, earning 4 points. Surprisingly, the Hyper Tough takes the top spot as the lightest drill in our lineup, even though it does sport that metal chuck, which scores it a full 5 points. On the other hand, the Hercules is weighed down by its bulk, making it the second heaviest and receiving just 2 points. The Skil is a relative lightweight, but doesn't quite match the Hyper Tough, so it gets 3 points. Lastly, while the M12 Fuel is compact and clearly built for durability, that does end up causing it to be the heaviest drill in our showdown, and it only receives 1 point. Now we're going to test just how fast these drills can spin you right round, baby. The Warrior, with its single speed design, managed 569.7 RPM. The Hyper Tough hit 420.6 RPM in speed setting 1, but ramped it up to an impressive 1,578 RPM on speed 2. The Hercules came in at 407.7 RPM on speed 1, then climbed to 1,350 RPM on speed 2. Living up to its name, the Skil proved to be very quick, spinning at 468.6 RPM on speed 1 and an impressive 1,657 RPM on speed 2, making it the fastest drill in our lineup. Finally, the M12 put on a solid performance for 436.1 RPM on first gear, then shifted into second to reach 1,432 RPMs. For this particular test, the faster the unloaded drill spins, the more points it earns. On speed setting 1, the Warrior took the lead with an impressive 569.7 RPM. That's over 100 RPMs faster than the Skil, which earned the Warrior the coveted 5 points. But on speed setting 2, the Skil stole the spotlight, hitting a remarkable 1,657 unloaded RPMs to claim that top spot and earned 5 points itself. Now we're going to see just how loud or quiet each of these drills is. We're going to do this 12 inches away from our decimal meter. The Warrior is pretty quiet at only 71.1 decibels. The Hyper Tough ramps it up a little bit compared to the Warrior, and it comes in at 75.5 decibels. The Hercules is very quiet to our ears, not hurting them at all at only 66.9 decibels. The Skil is the opposite of the Hercules at 81.5 decibel, by far the loudest drill of the day. The M12 is a little louder than the Hyper Tough at 77.8 decibels. To see how compact each one of these 12 volts is, we used a measuring instrument to measure out how big each drill was with the battery inserted. The Warrior isn't very compact. It's 7 3/4 inches long, or 19.75 centimeters, and at 8 1/8 or 20.3 centimeters tall. The Hyper Tough is actually very compact for the price at 6 3/8 inches or 16.3 centimeters long and 7 1/2 or 19 centimeters tall. The Hercules is very similar to the Warrior, and it comes in at 7 5/8 inches or 19.4 centimeters long and 8 inches or 20.3 centimeters tall. The Skil is decently compact at 6 1/8 inch or 15.6 centimeters long, but it's quite tall at 9 inches or 22.9 centimeters. Proving that big things can come in small packages, the Milwaukee is the most compact drill of the day at 6 1/16 of an inch or 15.3 centimeters long, and it tied the Hyper Tough's height at 7 1/2 inches or 19 centimeters. For this 12 volt drill comparison, we're taking the smaller size as the winner because for 12 volts, you're wanting to put them in those tight to reach areas. Let's see how quickly these 12 volt drills can drill 6 1 5/8 inch wood screws into our 4x6. The Warrior is really held back with its single speed limitation, and it takes over 2 seconds to complete its first screw. I can tell you right now, I hate using that one. That one is not fun to use. The Hyper Tough blows past the Warrior with a blazing 0.75 seconds. That one's not bad. The Hercules, holding its own, comes in with a solid performance of 1 second. Pretty surprised with that one. That's pretty nice. The Skil edges out the Hyper Tough, clocking in at 0.71 seconds. That's nice. Wow, the M12 just set the bar even higher, ripping through its first screw in an incredibly fast 0.64 seconds. The Milwaukee Fuel absolutely dominated this screw test, averaging a blazing 0.67 seconds across all 6 screws. Hot on its heels, the Skil put up an impressive 0.74 seconds average time, followed closely by the Hyper Tough at 0.84 seconds. Just like our last test, we're measuring how fast each drill can sink these 4-inch long wood screws. First up is the Warrior, taking its time just like Christmas does to get here, completing the first screw in just over 5.5 seconds. The Hyper Tough, seeing how slow the Warrior was, decided it was going to step up its game significantly. It cut the time of the Warrior by more than half at 2.33 seconds for its first screw. The Hercules, once again, proving that it's not the fastest in our drill lineup, and it finishes the first screw in 2.7 seconds. The Skil puts on an impressive performance, driving its first screw in just 1.93 seconds. But the M12 Fuel manages to edge out the Skil once again, clocking in at a lightning fast 1.82 seconds for this 4-inch wood screw. If you're looking for the 12-volt drill that can sink a 4-inch wood screw the fastest, then you're going to be looking for the Milwaukee. The second fastest is going to be the Skil, and quite a bit away it's going to be followed up by the Hyper Tough. In this test, we're going to be driving 2 6-inch long wood screws. This test is really going to show just how much power, or lack thereof, these drills are making. We start with the Warrior, and it's making a decent time at 9.58 seconds for the first screw. The Hyper Tough clearly wasn't tough enough for speed 2, so we had to knock it down to speed 1, and that really slowed it down. It completed the first screw in 9.61 seconds. That's slower than the Warrior. The Hercules really wanted to drive the screws on speed 2, but it failed to sink them at the very end. So like the Hyper Tough, we put it on speed 1 and went again. And the Hercules finally drove the first screw in at just over 11 seconds. The Skil really shows that it's more skilled than our previously tested ones, and it came in at 4 seconds flat for the first screw. Milwaukee just can't stop winning this competition at 3.43 seconds on the first screw. The Milwaukee and Skil really proved that they're more capable than the others, and both drills driving their screws in at speed setting 2. The M12 got an average time of 3.33 seconds, and the Skil 3.75. Surprisingly, the really cheap Warrior came in third place with an average time of 9.6 seconds. Now we're going to test if all of our drills have enough power for this 4-inch Timberlock screw. The Warrior doesn't have the guts that it needs, and it threw in the towel because it's unable to sink this Timberlock screw. The Hyper Tough tries to drill it in on speed 2, but it fails, so we had to switch it to speed 1. The Hercules, like the Hyper Tough, couldn't do it on speed 2, so we had to turn it to speed 1, which really slowed it down. The Skil isn't skilled on the Timberlock screw, and we had to switch it from speed 2 to speed 1 in order to sink this screw. Wow, the M12 doesn't even break a sweat, and it is the only drill in our competition to be able to sink this Timberlock screw on speed 2. So the M12 came out swinging with an impressive 3.13 seconds, and the only drill that was able to do it on speed setting 2. The Skil wasn't too far behind though, and it was still able to sink the Timberlock screw at 4.63 seconds. The Hercules really was far behind at 6.51 seconds, and the Hyper Tough came in at a sad 6.58 seconds. We won't even talk about the Warrior. Now we're going to be measuring just how much torque each of our 12-volt drills actually make on speed setting 1. We're going to be driving these 4-inch long lag screws into pre-drilled holes. We're then going to be using an inline adapter so that we can measure how many inch-pounds of torque we get from each one. Is the Warrior even trying? It comes in at a very unimpressive 62 inch-pounds of torque. In a showdown, we know the Hyper Tough is tougher than the Warrior at 98 inch-pounds. The Hercules clearly isn't from Greek mythology, and it came in at a disappointing 89 inch-pounds. The Skil just barely finishes ahead of the Hyper Tough at 100 inch-pounds. And the M12 comes in and shows that it's in a league of its own with a whopping 204 inch-pounds of torque. And remember, this is only on the 2 amp-hour battery. While none of these drills were able to hit the marketed torque values, the M12 easily won this test at 204 inch-pounds of torque. That's 104 more inch-pounds than the next closest, which was the Skil. Now for our signature torture test, the Diablo 1.5-inch spade bit. We're going to be attempting 5 holes per drill, starting on speed setting 2. And if it can't do that, then we're going to be setting it to speed setting 1, and let's see if it can plow through this 1.5-inch spade bit or not. The Warrior is a joke and gave up early and couldn't even rotate 3 times with the bit. We tried again, but to no avail. The Hyper Tough stalls out on speed setting 2, but it is able to drill a respectable hole, and its first one is 9.83 seconds. The Hercules couldn't power through the wood on speed setting 2, and on speed setting 1, it did a very unimpressive 10.53 seconds on its first hole. The Skil also couldn't do it on speed setting 2, and we had to switch it down to speed 1 in order to give us the first hole at 7.18 seconds. And even though the Skil is fast on the holes, it doesn't quite like to finish them all the way through. And that's part of the beauty of this torture test. The M12 really shows that it's craving the larger 4 amp-hour battery, and it stalls out after a fight on speed 2. The first hole is slightly slower than the Skil on speed setting 1 at 7.85 seconds. The Skil's faster RPM really helped it in this test, and it averaged out to be 7.44 for all of the holes. The M12 Fuel wasn't far behind at 7.59 seconds average time. The Hyper Tough did a decent 9.58 seconds average time, and Hercules showing that it is not very torquey at all at 10.51 seconds. This is the portion of our video that is very subjective in nature. It's how these drills actually felt to me. So this is going to go over the comfort and build quality with the way that I feel about these drills. The Warrior absolutely feels like a piece of plastic. It's not very solid in my hand. I don't like the way that it feels. You can tell that it is a $20 drill, and truthfully at that price, it's overpriced. While the Hercules was relatively comfortable in my hand, I know that I'm going to be holding that drill a lot longer because it is so slow, and that drill actually becomes uncomfortable after a while with its weight whenever you're doing the same amount of work, simply because of how slow it is. The Hyper Tough felt quite nice, especially for the price point. It felt like a higher quality drill. Coming in second place is the Skil. I like the way that this drill feels. It just feels good in the hand, especially with the balance. Unfortunately, during the torture test, you could actually feel the two halves of the body flexing against one another, and that did fatigue my hand across those 5 holes. The M12 Fuel feels like a premium drill. The only thing I can say bad about the M12 Fuel is the same problem the Hyper Tough has. It's the girthiness of the handle. I don't have any problem with it, but if you have a smaller hand, you may have a serious problem holding on to this drill, especially with how much torque and power this thing is putting out. So on our scoring board, if you got perfect 5s across the entire thing, you would earn up to 60 points. Unfortunately, the Warrior wasn't anywhere close to those 60 points, and it came in at an abysmal 22 points, putting it in dead last. Next, we had the Hercules. It came in at 26 points, which really wasn't all that good. This is more like Chicago electric stuff, if you know what I mean. I was really surprised with the Hyper Tough. They've really stepped up their game. This Hyper Tough came in at 36 points, and it really surprised me. Now, our top 2 are actually very close. We have the Skil coming in at 46 points, and that's really impressive considering the price point with this particular drill. And of course, the first place finisher goes to the Milwaukee M12 Fuel. I am very impressed with this tool. Thank you very much for watching this video and sitting through all of the amazing testing that we did. If you have any questions about the testing methodology that we have used, please leave it in the comments below. We love hearing different ideas and different solutions that we can implement to try and test these things in a more efficient fashion. And we also love hearing from everybody, just general comments, especially positive comments for what we're trying to do here. We have great comments like this one. And we love showcasing these types of positive comments that not only help us grow, but also let other people in the community know just how impactful it was. Thanks for watching.